Hello and welcome back to the C1 Cybersecurity Posture Assessment. This video will cover questions 9 through 18. Was upper management outside of technology involved in developing the disaster recovery plan? Score 0 if you do not have a disaster recovery plan or upper management was not involved. Score 1 if upper management was minimally involved in the development of the disaster recovery plan. Score 2 if upper management was moderately involved in the development of the disaster recovery plan. 3 if upper management was adequately involved in development of the disaster recovery plan. And 4 if upper management was fully involved and guided the disaster recovery plan development. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. How often are the plans reviewed and updated? This includes business continuity plan, incident response plan, disaster recovery plan, and data breach plan. Score 0 if plans are never reviewed or updated. Score 1 if plans are reviewed and updated infrequently and/or inconsistently. Score 2 if plans are reviewed and updated every 3 years. 3 if plans are reviewed and updated every 2 years. And 4 if plans are consistently reviewed and updated annually. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Does the district maintain security incident thresholds at a minimum differentiating between an incident and an event? Examples can include abnormal activity, vulnerability, weakness, data breach, privacy incident, etc. An event is an observed change to the normal behavior of a system, such as router ACLs were updated or firewall policy was pushed. An incident is an event that negatively affects the confidentiality, integrity, and/or availability at an organization in a way that impacts the business. Score 0 if no thresholds are established, or score 1/2 to 2 points depending on the level of detail for differentiating between incidents and events, plus 1 point if the guidance is well documented, plus an additional point if it is reviewed and updated annually. Pause the video now to consider and record your answer before continuing. Are incident response plans and disaster recovery plans tested? Organizations should plan and conduct routine incident response and disaster recovery exercise scenarios for key personnel involved in responding to real-world incidents. They should test communications channels, decision-making, and workflows at a minimum. Score 0 if incident response and disaster recovery plans are not tested. Score 1 if your plans are tested inconsistently or infrequently. Score 2 if your plans are tested every 3 years. 3 if your plans are tested every 2 years. And 4 if your plans are tested consistently and annually. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answers before continuing. Has the district established and does the district maintain a penetration testing program? Penetration testing should be conducted by all organizations. If an organization develops any in-house software, web apps, database queries that accept user input, etc., these should be included in the penetration testing program. If you do not have a penetration testing program, score 0. Otherwise, score 1/2 point if your penetration testing scope and limitations are minimally defined, or 1 point if they are well defined, or 0 points if there is little or no definition regarding the scope or limits. Add 1 point if you perform annual penetration testing, or 1/2 point if you perform biannual testing, or 0 points if penetration testing is less frequent. Add 0 points if there is no post-test remediation to resolve issues that were uncovered during the penetration testing, or 2 points if remediation is fully optimized and all findings are remediated and added to the risk ledger, or 1/2 point to 1.5 points if remediation falls between these two extremes. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Has the district created or obtained a security awareness program for all staff to complete on a regular basis? It should include all staff being trained annually, new hires being trained upon employment, and training material being updated annually to reflect necessary changes. Score between 0 and 1 points each for training, new hires, and material updating, as described in the scoring rubric, and add 1 bonus point if staff are trained 2 or more times per year. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Are staff members trained on authentication best practices, including multi-factor authentication, password composition, and credential management? Score 1 point for each statement that is true. All staff are trained on password composition. All staff are trained on multi-factor authentication. Training is required and documented for all staff. Training is updated and conducted annually. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Does the district train staff to identify forms of social engineering such as phishing, phone scams, and impersonation calls? Score 0 if these types of training are not provided. Score 1 if these types of training are provided inconsistently and/or infrequently. Score 2 if they are provided consistently every 3 years. 3 if they are provided consistently every 2 years. And 4 if they are provided consistently annually. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Does the district train staff to identify, properly store, transfer, archive, and destroy sensitive data? This should include training staff on clear screen and desk best practices, such as locking screens when they step away and erasing physical and virtual whiteboards at the end of meetings. Score 0 if this type of training is not provided. Score 1 if this training is provided inconsistently and/or infrequently. Score 2 if this training is provided consistently to some staff members. 3 if training is provided consistently to most staff members. And 4 if training is provided consistently and annually to all staff members and the training is documented. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. Does the district train staff to be aware of causes for unintentional data exposures, such as losing a mobile device or emailing the wrong person? Score 0 if these types of training are not provided. Score 1 if these types of training are provided inconsistently and/or infrequently. Score 2 if they are provided consistently every 3 years. 3 if they are provided consistently every 2 years. And 4 if they are provided consistently annually. Pause the video now in order to consider and record your answer before continuing. You are finished with questions 9 through 18. The next video will be Cyber Posture Assessment Slide 03. You can start that now, or you can take a break and continue the posture assessment later.